Hi, this is Wishop, and this is your weekend reading for February 21st, Saturday, and February 22nd, Sunday. So I'm getting this done on Saturday. I wish I could do them earlier, but I don't always have the time or the inspiration to be able to get them done. But here we are, and the energies from the week, as far as I'm concerned, seem like they're really carrying through. That's why I wanted to show this little board again. Especially that Mars and Venus thing, because Mars moved into Aries and Venus followed it yesterday. And last night, if you were lucky enough to be able to see it, and I was quite unexpectedly, but I was, on the horizon of sunset, there was the crescent moon, just like a bowl, and then there was Venus right next to it, bright Venus. And right above her on the right was Mars. And you could see the three of them, the moon, Mars, and Venus, all clustered together in the sunset sky. And it was beautiful. And it was kind of amazing, really. So anyway, that energy, that fired up energy of that pair as they do their Apache dance through Pisces and now into Aries is continuing. And what's really important is now that they've got into Aries, Uranus is also in Aries. And so Uranus, that big, strong outer planet, is being triggered. And it's a planet of explosive change, of fascinating, lightning fast bolts from the blue. So all of the stuff that Venus and Mars are working on is kind of being triggered. So this week I definitely have seen and heard of some extreme changes, extreme manifestation, right? New jobs popping up, new money popping up, things ending, things beginning in very sudden and kind of dramatic ways. But I think if you've been focused on knowing what you want and knowing what you love and really just getting in tune with your own heart, that probably the changes that you've seen manifested or starting to manifest are really taking you where you want to go. So that's wonderful. I mean, I feel pretty good about it, so I hope it's working out really well for you. So let's get to the I Ching for the weekend, which is, once again, if you remember, we had Heaven over Heaven, which was number one. It was creative power, right? It was the magician. It was that manifesting energy. So here's what we're moving to, which is fascinating. So this is lake over wind, and you can see again we have this great symmetry of the upper trigram and the lower trigram. Again, they are mirroring each other so that we feel that real balance of the yin and yang. And I'm dealing with the yin as being the lower trigram and the yang as the upper trigram, the lower being interior circumstances, the upper being outer circumstances for these purposes. So this is lake over wind, which is basically sort of cup or water energy over wand or fire energy, which is interesting because in my yang sort of male position, I have all this watery energy. And in my yin or female position, I have this wand or fiery male energy, which I think, again, it's just reflecting that balance that we're seeing going on, this balancing of the polarities, which is critical to happen and which we all probably need to happen in one way or another internally. There are pieces of our divine feminine or divine masculine that we don't quite have a handle on. Excuse me. And bringing those into balance is part of becoming a whole being, able to do all the things that you want to do in a way you feel good about. So when we pull up the meaning for this, it's 28. Critical mass or preponderance of the great. And what this means is things are trembling on that edge of being about to happen. It's that critical mass moment right before a reaction, right before a chemical reaction, which of course is exactly what Uranus is doing. We've brought these things into balance, we've put in manifestation, and now there's this trembling moment right before things are happening. So the idea within the guidance of the I Ching is that in this condition, you keep an eye on what you love. You keep an eye on what you want. Well, this is not actually really new guidance. It's been kind of what we're doing. But that basically by keeping an eye on what you want, you will be able to react to fast situations with the proper response. You're going to be able to respond to it because you already are feeling grounded in your own desires. And so you'll know even though things may look chaotic, you're going to see the opportunity within that chaos to take you where you want to go. So that's fantastic. Let's see. So let's talk some about the numbers. I'm going to have to swing this all the way over here. Oh, you know, I wanted to read you actually a little bit from the Tao Te Ching. I'll try and be quick. I'm just going to pull out a couple of the lines because they were great. From 28, verse 28. Know the strength of man, but keep a woman's care. Know the white, but keep the black. Know honor, yet keep humility. I mean, really, could there be anything more balanced? Now, granted, the Tao is sort of about balance in the first place, but that is very much going to be tied to the cards that we're going to see and that Mars-Venus energy. So as I go over, swing over here to the cards that I pulled, because the dice 2 showed up in the upper and lower trigrams, I pulled the High Priestess, and I was going to pull her anyway because this is exactly the shape of the crescent moon as it appeared with Venus right here and Mars right here. And that shape is exactly what I thought of when I saw the moon in the sky. It was fantastic. But the 2 was repeated in the upper and lower trigram, which tells you that wisdom is at work, wisdom of the outer and the inner, wisdom of the seen and the unseen. So I think we're still okay to kind of just try to flow with it. The Wheel of Fortune, 2 plus 8, because critical mass is 28, adds up to the Wheel of Fortune. Well, we know that things are changing. That's absolutely what's happening. And we're right at that point of change. We're right at that trigger point of change. The 2 other cards I want to cover implied by the I Ching, I'll make some room for them here, are in the upper trigram. We have Death, 13. I hope you can see that. In the lower trigram, we have 7, which is the Chariot. Okay, so what this indicates to me is because Death, you can see, is on the horse in motion and the Chariot is still marshaling. This is the internal setup, the lower. It looks like you may still be sort of deciding where you want to go or planning your action, but Death in the upper trigram tells you things are happening. Things are happening in the outer world. And so you are going to use your wisdom to respond to them. At this point in the Chariot, he could go any direction. He could go wherever he wants to go. He's maintaining his maneuverability, but he can go and do whatever he wants. And Death says, things are in motion, transformative things. So just be ready to navigate your way around them. So what I did here was I pulled 2 cards, not exactly for Saturday and Sunday, but kind of for Saturday and Sunday. So 2 cards to represent the internal landscape and 2 cards to represent the outer landscape. For the inner landscape, I chose the Wildwood Tarot. I think it's so beautiful for this time of year. It has so many wintry scenes and it talks so much about the spiritual journey. For the outer conditions, I chose Tarot of the Zircus Magi by Doug Thornsjoe. I have said before, and I will say it again, this is a bit of a trickster deck. However, sometimes the trickster is the only one with the bravery to do what needs to be done or to say the truth that needs to be said. So when it comes to dealing in the outside world, when you're dealing with unconventional situations, you're dealing with the unusual, you're dealing with the need to think outside the box, I think a little trickster energy can be in order. So I think this deck is terrific for that. So let's first go to this sort of internal thing. And see, I kept them hidden this time, so I actually don't know what I'm going to get. And I'm going to have to sort of let go of the camera while I flip these so I don't knock everything in the world over. Flip. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Why didn't I do this one first? I don't know. Oh, hello. There we go. All right. So here is the Two of Bows decision. Well, we've seen him before and he's back again. And he's sort of this wild man wrapped in fire and he's got the 2 flaming wands in his hands. He doesn't look like he's being burned. He looks like he's taking a stand. So it definitely looks like when it comes to your passion, you need to decide where your passion lies, right? And that's actually what we've been talking about. And here's the 10 of vessels, which would be maybe the 10 of cups, which often is a family scene. This is 10 of vessels, happiness, and it's overflowing, just overflowing with good, beautiful emotion, this, sustaining, life-giving water. So again, on the internal, it's find your happiness, make decisions for your passion. We're still being guided to do that focus in on your happiness. You don't have to focus on the methods. You are coming to a decision point, but the decision point needs to be guided by your emotional passions, your desire, your happiness, your joy. That's really where it comes from. And I know I sound like a broken record because my readings are all kind of going like this, but they really don't always look like this, but they look like this right now. So that's what's going on. So keep focusing on your happiness. Keep thinking, what do I want? What is my joy? Because the decisions and situations that come about are going to challenge you to make decisions about where you want to go. So hang on a sec. I'm going to turn these other cards over. And I'm running out of time, so I better be swift. Okay. We've got, oh, look at this. The 7 of Swords, or the 7 of Blades, audacity. And the 10 of Batons, which is burdens. Okay, let me get over here so you can see these. Now, here's where the trickster deck really comes into play. A lot of times when this is what I think of as the external situation. So you can think of these as like perception cards, and then these are action cards. So a lot of times when people see the 7 of Swords, and I have to say this is really funny because a lot of the readers who I listen to have all been coming up with the 7 of Swords. And when they come up with it, they're like, ew, I really don't like this deck because it implies a certain deceitfulness, or to some people it can imply cheating or getting away with something, or that kind of a feeling. And I've been pulling it too, my gosh. But when I look at it here and I really identify the trickster quality and audacity, what we're really talking about is having the nerve to leave behind the things you don't want and to run off with the things that you do want, to make the bold move. And bold moves look like they might be called for. We've got this 10 of Batons, which is burdens, upside down. And let me actually flip this so you can see this a little better. So here we have this. We've got this solo performer who's carrying these sort of fat men on a barrel, and it looks like a lot of work. So what it's saying is you're not being instructed to make the hard move, right? When you follow your joy, you're not following your joy to the hardest job, to the biggest job, to the overwhelming job. You are following your joy to the bold move, to the one that strikes right at the heart of the things you want. When you look at 7 of Blades, because it is a mental suit, you want to think about, okay, what thoughts am I taking and what thoughts am I leaving behind? We have the 7 card of the Chariot, which is a card of mastery, of being ready, of spiritual mastery, of being ready to move. The 7 of Blades is also ready to move, but he's moving in a way on his own terms, and he's deciding what he's keeping and what he's leaving behind, what he feels like he needs to take and what has to go. And that is being done not in the emotional realm like the 5 of Cups would be, but in the mental realm. What thoughts and beliefs about yourself and about success can you no longer afford to have? Because if your thought about your success is that it has to be hard and burdensome, and it has to happen because you feel weighted and loaded and freighted all the time, then you need to be more bold and audacious. Because if you can see the path, using the wisdom of the High Priestess, see the path to what you want, you should take it. And I'm running out of time, so I wish you very well this weekend, and I will be with you again next week.